Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I'm honestly so thrilled you're tuning in today because we're tackling a topic that's incredibly lucrative, but frankly, wildly misunderstood. If you're building an AI SaaS and eyeing global expansion, India is for sure on your radar. But here's the thing, entering the Indian SaaS market, you've got to leave your assumptions completely at the door. What crushes it in Silicon Valley or Europe just doesn't copy-paste over here. So today, we're going to dig into the very specific go-to-market differences you absolutely need to nail down before you launch.
Picture this. It's a super frustrating scenario, right? You've built this fantastic product, your metrics and Western markets look amazing, so you open the floodgates to India and suddenly, crickets. Or even worse, you get a ton of traffic, but absolutely zero conversions. Why on earth is your SaaS stalling in one of the fastest growing digital economies on the planet? Well, the harsh truth is that falling back on standard global growth tactics often flat out fails to convert Indian buyers. You simply can't flip a switch, offer a generic global checkout flow, and expect to win over such a deeply nuanced market. It all really boils down to one massive mismatch. You can't just parachute a generic Silicon Valley playbook into India and expect to see explosive growth. You really have to adapt to the highly specific on-the-ground reality of the region. Actually, relying on your default global strategy doesn't just mean you miss out on opportunities, it can literally create massive friction for your users there. We need to completely rewire our mindset.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to unpack 5 operational pillars. 1. Pricing and payments. 2. Buyer trust and behavior. 3. Community and channels. 4. Selling AI to SMBs. And 5. Validating with users. Let's get right into it.
Starting right off with number 1, pricing and payments.
So we really need to challenge a super common startup default, purchasing power parity. When you look at absolute US dollar to Indian rupee terms, Indian buyers, and I'm talking specifically about small and medium-sized businesses and individual users here, are incredibly price sensitive. Slapping a single global USD price on your website usually just fails completely. The SaaS products that actually win in India either drop their prices meaningfully lower for the region, or they build a pricing structure that truly reflects the local willingness to pay. You absolutely must make a deliberate choice about regional pricing. Don't just blindly default to one global price.
Now, once you've actually got the price right, how do they physically hand over the cash? In the US, it's just a credit card, right? Well, a credit card-only checkout causes almost insurmountable friction in India. The landscape is entirely different. You literally have to offer local payment methods like UPI, Razorpay, and net banking. Plus, if you're selling B2B, buyers completely expect GST-compliant invoices so they can actually expense the subscription internally. Honestly, missing GST compliance isn't just a tiny hiccup, it's a hard blocker for business buyers. It's not a nice-to-have, it's a total deal-breaker.
Moving right along to number 2, buyer trust and behavior.
Think about this phrase. Does this work for my use case? Let's chat on WhatsApp. That right there, that perfectly captures the voice of the Indian B2B buyer. They generally need a much longer trust-building phase before they ever dream of hitting that checkout button, especially compared to an equivalent US buyer. They want solid proof. They want case studies, they want reviews, and honestly, they just want a real human being to talk to. Even if you've built this beautifully seamless, self-serve, product-led growth motion, you still have to give them an easy way to chat with a real person. Going checkout only is just a fast track to losing their trust.
Which brings us to a huge wake-up call. WhatsApp is a sales channel. The WhatsApp Business API is a totally mainstream support and sales channel over there. For a lot of users, it's way more natural to ask questions and build that trust on WhatsApp than it is to fill out some clunky email form or use a tiny chat widget hidden in the corner of your site. If you aren't baking WhatsApp directly into your sales motion, you are seriously swimming against the current.
Okay, on to number 3, community and channels.
Look, if you're used to the standard global playbook, you're probably spending all your time hanging out on indie hackers or tech Twitter. But the India-specific equivalents are local subreddits, places like r/developers India and r/Indian startups, plus local Discord and Slack groups for founders. These function exactly like those global channels do for US founders. You've got to treat these local communities as actual, real-deal acquisition channels. Don't just lurk in the background. Get in there, engage, provide real value, and build your presence.
Now, when it's time to expand your reach, you need to go where the attention actually is. LinkedIn India is absolutely booming right now. It's a remarkably strong, low-cost channel if you're a B2B founder posting build-in-public content. For consumer or prosumer audiences, you've got to be on Instagram and YouTube. And here's a massive pro tip. Once you've locked down your ideal customer profile, really consider creating regional language content like Hindi to reach way beyond just the English-fluent urban tech crowd. Finally, and I literally cannot stress this enough, study local precedents. Look at companies like Freshworks, Zoho, and Chargebee. They started in India and scaled globally. Studying their early pricing and channel choices is going to be infinitely more useful for you than relying on a generic Silicon Valley playbook, because they already solved this exact distribution puzzle.
All right, number 4, selling AI to SMBs. So, you know that classic hype pitch, right? AI-powered workflows. Sure, that sounds amazing, and it generates a ton of buzz globally. But Indian SMBs, their adoption is highly ROI literal. They aren't looking for tech magic. They want to know exactly how many hours is this going to save me, and how much cheaper is this than paying a human to do it. You absolutely must translate all that abstract AI hype into concrete efficiency and cost-saving framing. Trust me, leading with literal, undeniable ROI lands infinitely better than some vague AI-powered promise.
And finally, number 5, validating with users. So, after all that, are your assumptions actually correct? Look, everything we've talked about in this explainer today is a starting checklist. It is definitely not some immutable law. It's a set of critical questions that you now need to take out into the real world and verify for yourself.
Here is your game plan. Step 1. Rigidly define your specific ideal customer profile. Step 2. Get on real discovery calls with actual prospects. Step 3. Validate your pricing and channel strategy against your specific product, instead of just leaning on generic advice. Basically, stop guessing, get out there, and start talking to local users. You've got the operational pillars now, so I'm going to leave you with this one final thought before you go. Finalize your pricing tiers or launch a new ad campaign. Who is the very first Indian prospect you're going to get on a WhatsApp discovery call today?